Jake Tapper interviewed the governor. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a what again? Great show for you today. How is everybody doing? I trust everybody's all right. Welcome aboard, El Senor Miguel Rudnin, Michael Rudnin, AVQ, Brooklyn, New York. Melanie Keel in Barcelona, Spain. How are you doing, Melanie? Lee Grant from Montgomery County. Of course, Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood, and the one and only La Preciosa, the beautiful Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia, where she says, yes, it is very warm here. And AVQ says it's a beautiful, beautiful day outside. I'm glad to hear that. I think it's kind of nice out here, just kind of steamy with all that rain that we had. Now it's evaporating. And I told you guys my house shifted. I think with all the rain that's coming and with all the water that filled up all the dry stuff, I kind of feel that the house may have shifted a little bit again. I don't know. I don't know. Eric Hayes says mosquito bites are coming. Yes, they are. All that water said standing all over the place. Mosquitoes are going to be eating us up here in Kingwood and around Houston. We are mosquito. Well, actually, there are mosquitoes all over the country. Minnesota has some big, big ones that really know how to bite you. I knew that when I got to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Well, actually, it was Minneapolis. I think I was in that. It wasn't in St. Paul. Anyway, let's see what we got here. First commentary. We're starting kind of slim. Maywood is in from Long Beach, California. We have E2247 from all over. He says, "Is Bridge doing okay? I miss her and her contributions to PDR." Bridge is taking a break. Bridge, some of the negativity has gotten to Bridge, so she's sort of taking a break. I let her know that everybody has been asking for her. I think that'll make her quite happy as she should be. So I will do that. But anyway, folks, we love us some Bridge MCP. All right, let's see. Tim Danahy said, look forward to a conversation with you on Israel, Truth Social, public offering, and stock buybacks. You're a good man with whom to agree to a degree. I love that. Brother, that is from my good friend and supporter, Tim Danahy. Tim Danahy, you have an open door. You tell me how you want to do the interview. You want us to tape an interview to talk about these issues, or you want to do it live, or you want to do it on the phone, calling in, any form that you want, because that's what we are here for, my brother. That's what we believe in here. Real conversations. I hope you listen to some of my KPFT program at 6 in the morning, where we have the call-ins. And it's the good thing about it, Tim, is in as much as I'm very, very progressive, but I have dedicated conservative listeners even at the 6 o'clock hour, where they call in and we have meaningful conversations, and they actually enjoy the dialogue. So I don't know if you listen to our 6 o'clock show, but I think you'd like it. That's one that's on air, but we of course broadcast it here on the internet as well. Yvette Avery Herod says, I reached out to her because I miss her as well. Sending prayers and hugs her way. Yes, yes, yes. I spoke to her last week. I'll give her a call sometime this week as well, because we love us some Bridge MCP. All right, folks. There are two subjects that I have settled for today. One is an interview that Doug Burgum from North Dakota governor, who is trying to be Trump's vice president. And, I kind of went on a rant on that one. I started about it, and then I went on one of my rants. And the other subject is about the oil companies need to pay back what they owe to us. Because, again, but I'm going to take that second subject secondly. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and start the first video that I did. And then I'll continue with that piece that I told you about. Okay? So let's go ahead and get this first video. Well, actually, it's the only video that I really have for today. Let's go ahead and get that one started right this minute. Ahorita mismo. Jake Tapper interviewed the governor of North Dakota. His name is Doug Burgum. And the purpose of the interview was to ask him about some, the typical silly things that Donald Trump has to say. Well, Donald Trump claimed in one of his latest rallies that Biden is buying votes with getting welfare for votes, giving welfare for votes, And Burgum comes up and he asks Burgum, hey, do you agree with what Donald Trump is saying, that he's buying votes? And in effect, he said, is he trying to buy your 100,000? Remember, North Dakota is a small state. Is he trying to buy your 100,000 people that are on welfare in your state? And well, Burgum gave an answer. Burgum made it clear that, he thinks that when Biden is given student loan deferrals or student loans forgiveness, etc., that what he's doing, he's buying votes, and that's what he's doing. And he gave the whole rant that plutocrats and the right wing always give whenever you try to give the right kind of aid to people. So Jake Tapper wasn't done there, but I tell you what. Let's go ahead and listen to that interview. And then there are quite a bit that I want to say about it, because Burgum shows that this country is still being run by plutocrats, has the ideology of plutocrats at the expense of the average American citizen. Listen to this and we'll take it on the other side.
The New York Times reported that last night Mr. Trump said that some Americans get, quote, welfare to vote. Is that how you see the electorate? You have, I think, more than 100,000 North Dakotans on Medicaid. Are they getting welfare to vote?
No, and I don't think that's the intention that he meant when he said that. But I mean, I do think that what we have here is when Joe Biden, he can't campaign on, his open border policies. 2016, that was about immigration. Now it's about national security and public safety. And open borders is something the majority of Americans are very concerned about. Inflation touches every single American. The wars that are breaking out around the world. So, in places where President Trump had success, Joe Biden's having failure. Where President Trump was strong, Joe Biden's been weak. And so that's what people are actually thinking about. But then you throw on top of things like the student loan debt, and you start trying to give away hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money. And it's like we're borrowing to give it away. It's not tax and spend, it's borrow from the Chinese and give it away. When you see those citizens understand those are like pre-election payoffs. Those are like, hey, folks, please vote for us because we're relieving your debt. So at what point does it cross over programs like student debt to just vote buying? And I think, again, the people that are working hard and are paying off their debts and aren't getting loan relief are saying, hey, this just isn't fair. In America, people want things to be fair, not unfair. And I think it's clear that there's vote buying going on at a scale like we've never seen before.
Does that offend you more than Donald Trump telling a room full of donors, wealthy people, millionaires, billionaires, that he's going to cut their taxes? Is that buying votes any different?
Well, first of all, I just reject the whole premise of this idea of wealthy donors. I mean, the room of people that were there yesterday are all people that were job creators. These are Americans that took risks that
So they're not wealthy?
Sometimes risk everything they had to start a business. Well, they're wealthy now because the American system of capitalism, worked for them to create jobs, to help them build their communities. These are among the most generous people in the country. They're the ones that are giving back to philanthropic efforts in building strong communities. They care about their kids and their grandkids. Because they've been successful and because they've worked hard is not somehow that they should be disparaged. This is what we should be celebrating. These people represent the American dream. And part of the way the American dream works is when we have low taxes and low regulation. And Joe Biden he's proposing the largest tax increase in the history of America and proud of it.
Now, here's the deal. First of all, he claims that student loans are somehow a giveaway. Let's be clear here. In as much as when I went to school, I took out student loans. I paid it all back out of my pocket, of course. Now, I must say that at the time that I went to school, it's much different than the kids going to school today. They're ripping the kids off right now with the increase in costs in schools as corporations are paying less taxes. So in as much as I don't think it was fair either when I paid my loan off, I am all for making things right, pay off the student loans of all the other students. Let me tell you why. These students invested in getting educated and then going to an employer who took advantage of that education that they paid for. And many of them had to borrow the money that these same companies have investments in financial companies who are there loaning the money. What I'm saying is the vicious cycle is as follows. Corporations have government cut their taxes. including taxes for universities, etc. The students have to pay more to go to college. When they get out of college, they owe all this money to corporations. When they go and work for these corporations get an educated person that somebody else educated, either a scholarship or the student themselves or a loan. And if they happen to have gotten a loan, these corporations, many of them have investments that are profiting from the loans that they gave to people to be educated so that they can come back and work for the company. It's a circular loop of theft, legal theft. So I am absolutely for paying off all student loans, all trade schools loans, etc. I think we should have a society that educates people, and we can afford it because our corporations are benefiting from the work resources of all of us. But that's another story. Burgum then talked about the job creators. When Tapper asks him about, well, wait a minute, Donald Trump says to a bunch of rich cats in there with him that he is going to give them a huge tax cut. Isn't that buying votes for the tax cut? Oh, no, but Doug Burgum takes exception to that. Those guys are job creators. Really? Who are really the job creators? These businessmen that know how to move paper around. The biggest fallacy we have in this country is that somehow the corporate executive is a job creator. You know who are job creators? I want every single person listening to me this very minute to look in the mirror. You are the job creator. You are the one that creates demand. And when you create demand, there is a supply that needs to be met. And somebody who has capital, or even you yourself, may go ahead and satisfy that demand. If these executives have no inherent power, inherent knowledge, they look at Bezos. Look at what Bezos built. Bezos didn't build that. I'm with Obama, even though Obama kind of walked it back. Bezos did not build that. Bill Gates did not build that. Berkshire Hathaway did not build that. The truth of the matter is collectively, we all did it. We may have some people that had a vision to do something, but a vision is only a vision without the people to fulfill that vision. And if you have a vision and you cannot fulfill it, it's an unfulfilled vision. We have to let people start realizing what is their worth. I have invented things myself. And do you think I sit back and say, well, X, Y, and Z corporation is dependent on the invention that I had, and the invention that I have, I should forever capitalize in it and make a lot of money? I could have patented it, but I didn't. And you know what? I don't believe in that system. That system is a fraudulent system that allows many, or allows a few, to profit on the backs of many. Every single appreciation of stock that you're looking at in this country right now, you are a piece of that action that you don't participate in. You are responsible for building that, and you don't get any recompense for that. You are the one building these things. America, the average American citizen, it's the one responsible for the success of this country. And they would have you believe that what's the name of the guy who now is doing rockets, right? Tesla's the person who created Tesla. No, he is not the person who created those things. We've been sending things up into space with computers less powerful than my phone. We've been putting orbital flights. They've just gotten to orbit. Just now, the private company has been able to get to orbit. We've been doing that for a long time. We went to the moon. We've sent things to Mars. Don't buy the game. The game is to keep telling you, these are the job creators. These are the job creators. The executives are the ones that make things happen. The executives are the ones that make things happen. The visionaries are the ones that make things happen. And they keep telling you that, and you start to believe those things, and you lose your worth for all your work. You lose your worth for all your work. So let's wake up, people. Let's stop believing the crap about the job creators and who creates innovation. Let me give you one little thing before we go here. They like to talk about who the job creators are and why they must continue to receive their inordinate profits, because if they stop getting those profits, there's no more incentive to create. But let's be clear here. The people that get very rich, let's look at all the billionaires. Musk. Let's look at all the billionaires. Gates. Let's look at all the billionaires. Even Trump. What do these guys do? They employ people to innovate, and they pay the people to innovate a salary. And that salary does not encompass the inordinate amount of profit. It's they who get the profit, but the innovation didn't come from them. The innovation came from the salaried employee. The innovation came from the hourly employee. How then do you accept what Burgum just said? Where these are the job creators. No, the innovators are the one who create the ability for you to create jobs. And you create jobs by your spending. You create jobs by your consumption. Let's learn together and understand how things really work. We have been hoodwinked for decades. We've been hoodwinked for centuries. And until we wake up and understand that the system depends on us being dumb, and that one of the reasons they want to burn books, and one of the reasons they don't want you to learn all these things is because one of the reasons they want to get rid of TikTok is that an educated population is a dangerous population for the plutocracy. It's a dangerous population for the small people who are in control of our system. Wake up, be woke. Wake up and be woke. But there's another thing that I forgot to mention in that rant. And as I listened to Burgum and listened to the rant that I gave after Burgum, I'm like, how the hell did I forget that? Let me tell you what I forgot to say, because this is important. I forgot to say that when Burgum said, look at all these wealthy people put their monies at risk. I want you to listen to that statement, because we have learned to accept it. The wealthy people put their capital at risk. That's why they deserve the compensation they get. That's why they deserve the inordinate profit, because a risk, if something goes wrong and they lose their capital, oh, there's a problem there. Well, there's something I should have put in the rant that I forgot to put in the rant, and it goes like this. They risk capital. Okay, let's get it right. They risk capital. That's an inert thing. But you risk your limbs. You risk your health. Those people that are drilling for oil, it's not the executives drilling for oil. Yeah, some of the shareholders are passive income receivers. They're risking their capital. You're risking your life. The guy, think about how many people died building the Boulder Dam, no longer Boulder Dam. You know what I'm talking about, on the Colorado River. Think about the amount of people that have built these skyscrapers and put their whole bodies at risk. And then when they get ill or get sick, these are the same people that don't want to pay the taxes, so that we have a collective society that takes care of the people whose luck run out on them, whether it be health or accident. People. Remember again, we have been hoodwinked. And until we wake up and start saying, this economic system is a fraud. And I was speaking to, and I'm going to come and answer the questions and go to the chat in a minute. And by the way, those of you on Twitter, you can join the chat as well. I can see the Twitter chat as well. So we have a whole lot of people on Twitter. Go ahead and you can put messages in the Twitter chat, and I can actually answer from our combined database right here with messages. But here's the thing, guys. Very important. Very important. There's an article that I'm putting together, and I already gave it a title. The title of the article, if I can find it and bring it up early on, and I have some bullet points, and maybe if I have some callers that can call in and tell me to add a few topics to it as well. You guys run this. You guys run this stuff for me. But the title of the article, and I want it to be a substantial article. It's "Our Economic System is a Fraud. Our indoctrination from birth causes support of the con." And then some bullet points that I have right now that I'm still building bullet points to write the article. money backed by gold is senseless because we have some people wanting to go back to the gold standard. Borrowing from rich people for deficit spending is a con. It's a wealth transfer technique. Otherwise, some other things. But let me go to Melissa because Melissa wants to have a comment. My dear sister Melissa, talk to me. Melissa, you're hot. Oops. I call back, Melissa. I don't know what happened. Call back. Call back. We missed you. But as soon as Melissa called back, I'll be on with that. But anyway, folks, you can call. There we go. Let's see if I can get her. All right, Melissa, are you there?
I'm here. I'm here. I'm sorry. I hung up because I couldn't find my page. How you guys doing? How you doing?
I'm.
How you
You
doing?
hung. You hung up on me. I'm so hurt.
I, so I called you right back. I didn't mean it. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I had to do a
Yes.
playback, so I didn't get to
Yes.
hear your morning show until after later. But I wanted to say about Molly Cook. Okay. I understand she's young, and we need that young, new energy vibe into in the stratosphere, and we need our young people stepping up to the game. But technically, she didn't answer two of your questions. She played the dodge,
Okay.
the yes or no dodge.
Okay. Tell me
Um,
which one it is because I'll
and
definitely go back to her.
it was your last two questions. I was just, I'm just reciting, what I heard. But the question, how you asked the last questions. What did she ask? What did you didn't? What you could have asked her
Right.
that you didn't ask or whatever. That was a dodge. She didn't really understand that question, and that's more like I feel how people disregard, like they're listening to you, they're looking at you talk, but they disregard
Mm-hmm.
everything you're saying and then say what they want to say. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
as a nurse, it's she has the experience of talking to family members, but sometimes you're not really listening. Like you're listening, but you're
Mm-hmm.
not really listening. So I want her to do a little bit better on that one. Citizens United, yes, is a fraud. We need to deal with that. And I want everybody to look up Lloyd's of London. Do the
Oh,
research on
girl.
that one. And
Oh,
then
boy.
Brian. Johnny called 3 times. But no, I wanted to say for Brian, I got a research challenge should he choose to accept. I want him to research the Great Migration from Germany,
Mm-hmm.
compare that to the DNA of the people behind that wall, and then compare that DNA to the people in Gaza, right? And then you'll find that Yahoo might be killing way more, committing way more anti-Semitism than anybody else right
You know
now.
what?
Because right
A
now he's
lot of
just
people won't
destroying
understand.
everything.
Hey, Melissa, a lot of people won't understand what you're saying there, but it's very important because what this a fight among, technically speaking, cousins, right? So I mean,
Yes.
people have to understand realities. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Hey, girl, you've been doing a lot of research. You concern me. You're gonna take.
I'm trying to, come do my facts, because me, I got potty mouth, so now I'm trying to, put more effort,
Hey, well,
put more effort.
well,
Okay.
your potty mouth hasn't showed up, and I'm so happy it hadn't showed up on KPFT to get me in trouble. You know, because when you call Jack has to have his hand on the red button.
He gotta have his hand on the beat button.
But look,
You don't
let me
know
tell
what
you.
I'm
But
about to say. I know it. You don't know what I'm about to say. All right, I'm gonna go. But yes, thank you.
but look, let me tell you, Melissa. Thank you for listening. Keep calling, and also, what I want people to be doing is we have to create this collective of sharing this information, this stuff that we learn together here. Because I don't know if you realize that. Don't leave yet. I want to mention this. I love all my callers, including Brian, including Oil Patch Joe. All our conservatives are a part of our family. And the thing about it is, I don't know if you've noticed this, Melissa, but if you take a look at notice, watch how minds are kind. I mean, it's a fight, right? People, when you live
Yeah.
for a certain way your entire life, you don't make a change overnight. I used to be a sexist. I used to be a homophobe.
Right.
Okay, so I have the passion of knowing that everybody can change. I was an idiot. I was an a-hole. Okay, you don't know. I mean, and I have changed, right? Everybody can change for
Mm-hmm.
the better good of us all. So that's where I'm at. So
Yep.
remember, we're all
That.
family, baby. We're all family. All right.
Yeah, yeah. All right, babe. Gotta go.
You
I
you
see you,
take
babe.
care. Bye. All right. Anyway, folks, that was one of our morning call. I love the fusion of the morning show and the afternoon show. You know, it's great. Anyway, folks, anybody can call 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. But I was talking about the article that I'm putting together. The title of that article that I'm putting together is Our Economic System is a Fraud, Our Indoctrination from Birth Causes Support for the con being the economic system that we currently have. Now, here's what I want folks to talk about, right? These are the topics that I'm included in there. Money back gold is senseless. Borrowing from the rich people for deficit spending is a con, especially since we have something called a sovereign currency. And I'm going to go into detail as to what a sovereign currency means and why borrowing from rich people to pay for our deficits is a con. I'm going to go into the details of the economic system of how that works. The other topic is workers work to enrich parasites. In other words, just like we spoke about what we do with capital, I want you to think about this. All the people that do the work get a payment for doing the work, but all the profit from said work, they don't partake from it. I'm talking about folks in the aggregate. Don't partake about it. We're going to talk about that. Slaves versus employees. We're going to talk about how much different is a slave from an employee. I'm talking about the economic model of slavery, well, and the economic model of employee. Inside of the article, we're going to talk about the Trump, why it is that so many people fear Trump being convicted or any, not only convicted, but why he gets the leeway that he gets. And what many people don't understand is Trump is the instantiation of capitalism. Trump is the Trump gives you all the ills that there is in capitalism that everybody smooths over. Everybody smooths over the actual the actual outcome of capitalism. Trump is in your face with what it really means. You look at all the failing companies that he created. You look at all these different aspects of Trump and you realize that he is the essence of capitalism. And the last thing that I have as a topic inside of that article as well is real estate theft, meaning corporate home buying, what we've done with real estate right now. People always have to have a place to live. Well, when you have capitalism take over something that people must have, right? Then there is a whole lot of room for it's what I call legal thievery. Like the oil, that the next subject we're going to talk about, where we want oil to be repaid, the excess oil to be repaid. I'm going to go into that in a little bit. Is an issue. But anyway, folks, if anybody else wants to, so if you have topics that I'm still putting this article together, I want it to be a substantive article, and it's likely going to be a long article. And I intend to really give it some play because I want it to be well sourced, etc. If there are topics in there that you think belong there, go ahead and drop me a line at info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com, so that I can actually put that into the article as well. Make sure, there are things that I may not remember off the top of my head. Anyway, let's go to some of the folks that have a few. Let's see here. Ray calling in. Ray. How you doing, Ray? Talk to me.
Yeah, Egberto, well, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that this is not the morning show, so I'm going to go a little off, a little off cuff here. When I heard you talk about the billionaires, when I heard the billionaire talking about, blah, 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 the risk that these people take, it took me back to a place, kind of ironically, I'm a wrestling fan. So, my favorite wrestler, The Rock, came back and he was going off on, he was doing like his promos and stuff like that. And one of the things he did, he was taunting his opponent because his opponent said he wanted to win the belt for his mother. And I'm
Right.
thinking about the billionaire because when The Rock was talking about his opponent's mother. He was like, "Oh, I could give it to my mommy. I could give it to my mother." And I was thinking about the billionaires saying, "Oh, the risk they take, da blah blah." And I want to, and I thought in my mind, like The Rock said, "Shut the f up," talking about the risk.
Thank you.
The risk. Oh, please. And you said, and you hit the nail on the head when you say working class people put life, limb, and don't forget mental health on the line, because don't forget a lot of people who are working for these media wages are under a lot of stress because they have to make ends meet, while these billionaires are just trying to figure out how much they can squeeze out of the average man to make their profit line just a little bit more bloated at the bottom. Your thoughts?
No, look, you hit the nail on the head, but the one thing that I want to get across, Ray, and I think all of you helped me make that case, right? And that is, whenever we have billionaires constantly putting out the same message, they take the risk. I hear a lot of poor people call my show. People that I know are poor call into the show and say, well, they deserve what they have because they take the risk. This poor person that is calling into my show is a hard worker, and he or she risks going out every day, working in a hot factory, not getting the pay that they deserve, working in a meat packing plant, not getting their worth out of it. Constantly doing these things, right? Those are the people taking the risk in our society. But what happens is, conservatives and neoliberal Democrats have learned something. You keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again, and people believe you, and people accept it as fact, right? You look at what Biden did today. I wrote a tweet. I didn't want to put Israel or anything in it, because sometimes you bring up the word Israel, and immediately you have to go into a long discussion first. But after I heard Biden's speech today, I couldn't be, I could not have been more upset, right? And by the way, I am, and anybody listening,
Yeah.
I am voting for Biden. I am voting for Biden. I want all of you to vote for Biden. We have to bite the bullet here. We have to get Biden, and then bring in a whole lot of progressives along the way. But the tweet, and anybody wants to discuss exactly all that I'm talking about can. But the tweet that I wanted to get out there said, at some point, old politicians will have to realize that younger generations will not stand for patriarchy where they believe what they are told. They test the veracity of past statements and actions. They believe what they see, not what they're told to see. And it's important. And that's why I so love my millennials. I so love my Gen Zs, because they're not taking it anymore. They're how we were back at the University of Texas when we were fighting against apartheid, when we were fighting against the second civil rights. And so Ray, you're right. We, the people, have to start acknowledging what our worth is. And I like to use that, our worth and our work. The middle class, the working class, the poor. You go down Houston, you go down any major city in this country with all the problems that it has, and you find bus stops that are full with people going to menial jobs. You find freeways that are packed with people going to menial jobs. And then they have the nerve, to tell us we don't work. I'm sorry. The American people work very hard. There's only, and what they do is they try to keep us separated. That's why I love my MAGA people. I love my conservative people. Notice what I'm saying, people. I didn't say politicians or the plutocrats. And let me tell you why I must love them. I must love them because if I don't, we allow the path to migrate to the point that they win. Because if we are fighting among each other, we're not seeing who's actually the problem. So anyway, that's my, you caused me to rant again, Ray. I hope you got your link.
Oh no, I
Check your
did,
email.
brother. I wanted to say thank you for that. Yeah, I did. I
Yeah,
did. So
good.
I
All right.
definitely just I love your passion about it, and I just want to say I'm gonna leave on this note. As far as those rich people that take all the risk and want us to have sympathy for them. If they want sympathy for me, they could look in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. Thank you.
Oh man. Oh, I'm glad I'm not at KPFT. I don't have to beep that one. All right, take it. Thank you, my brother.
I told you.
Hey, hey,
Take care,
listen.
bro.
I'm gonna have to call. I'm gonna have to call you Melissa now. Okay? Don't let me call you Melissa now.
Okay.
Take care.
Hey,
All right, folks. Look, I love my peeps. I love my peeps. I love my peeps. Anyway, so folks, if you have anything as you're thinking about this article that I'm writing, go ahead and send it off. And I want input from people. I want to maybe some of the times crowdsource this stuff. Anyway, anyway. I saw something from from Tim, my brother Tim, that I want to get to. Tim, are you still here? Tim, if you're here and you have the wherewithal, give me a quick call, not to talk what we're going to interview about. I just want to ask you a couple of things. If you're still here, Tim says the problem with with wealthy philanthropy is that it is arbitrary and capricious according to their interests. Higher taxes are actually good for the economy and ultimately the wealthy. And let me tell you, you're a genius. Let me tell you something about taxes back, and there's proof to that, and I've actually mentioned that in my book. As I see it, Class Warfare: The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. uh, that book I wrote a while back. Class Warfare: The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. And let me tell you what it was all about. It turns out that we had, what's the word that I want to use, um, wait a minute, something just happened. There we go. Let me tell you what happened. I wrote this book called Class Warfare: The Only, as I see it, Class Warfare: The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. And in that book, I specified exactly how a whole lot of this stuff worked, the economy, etc. And it's not a new book. It's about, I guess, several years old now. But what I try to explain in the book is that things are not exactly the way we think they are. But I tell you what, we'll talk about that another time. Let's go ahead real quickly and get into the second subject that we are supposed to talk about today, and that is oil. I don't know how many of you go to Common Dreams, but Common Dreams is a great resource. It's commondreams.org, and that is the topic of the second discussion. And what I like about it is, and I'm pulling it up right this minute. There we go, and let me put it on the screen. The article that I want to touch on, and you can see it on the screen right now, is Congress urged to tax big oil for price fixing and issue every American a refund. I want to go through a few things, and those of you who listen to my morning show probably heard this before, but bear with me, we'll get a corollary onto it. Remember, after the pandemic, I was in Washington, D.C. during the bulk of the pandemic, taking care of my daughter. And every time we go to Costco to get gas, I would get real upset because the price of gas would be going up. But let me tell you, right before we started to get out of the pandemic, oil was flooding the market, right? So the oil companies had to pay to get rid of the oil. Instead, a barrel of oil for a little bit went negative, which means you didn't have to pay for oil. They would pay you to take the oil because, again, there was oil in the channels, right? Let me tell you what happened. After that, as the economy started to come back and people started to drive, the oil companies wanted to recover, and they wanted to recover yesterday. So here are all the things that they did. Saudi Arabia took 2 million barrels of oil off of the market. You remember Russia, the war between Russia and Ukraine? They gave you the false information that, oh my God, because there is a war between Russia and Ukraine, somehow that's going to affect the price of oil. Of course, we know that the war between Russia and Ukraine is far away from these fields that they're going to be shipping oil from. But not only that, they also knew that we had a glut of oil from Saudi Arabia, who then took 2 million barrels of oil off the market. I'm not even going to go to Venezuela right now. I'm going to hold off with Venezuela. We never, listen to me, people. I want you to understand this. We absolutely never, and this article doesn't even go into full detail as to some of the things that I'm telling you here, but I want you to understand this. There was never an oil shortage. Never. In 79, there was not an oil shortage. There was an embargo. And all during the 80s and 90s, every time we had an oil shock, it was a manufactured shock. We have allowed oil companies to manipulate a market in a true supply and demand system, right? You don't restrict supply to control prices. That's called price fixing. And that is what the oil companies do day in and day out. Every now and then they screw up because they don't have a lot of stairs. Every now and then they screw up and they get things out of whack. But that's what they've been doing. They have been screwing us day in and day out. These increases in prices that you see in oil, they are false. There's no inflation. But let me tell you the danger of what these guys do. The country runs on an oil economy. What that means is that everything is dependent on oil. Hang with me, let me explain. Whenever you go to the grocery store and you buy a piece of lettuce, you buy canned goods, you buy anything, right? All those products are shipped to you. And how are they shipped? By rail, by train, by bus, meaning trucks, and all these other ways. So when the oil companies extort more money out of you to pay, that truck driver has to pay more for gasoline, everything, his prices go up. When the grocer goes to get the prices for the shipment or whatever, his prices go up. So then he charges you more. So just increasing the price of oil at the low end increases the prices of all our goods. They are the creators of inflation. And what that tells you is that inflation, that the current inflation that we have has nothing to do with supply chain. It has nothing to do with shortages. It has everything to do with corporate greed. In this case, in this little part, we're talking about oil companies because in the oil economy, everything is driven by oil. Your plants, that the farmer is not making any more money. Think about this. When they increase the price of oil, the farmer ain't making any more money, but he has to power his tractor with that expensive oil. He has to ship his product with that expensive oil. Every single part of our economy, just from that increase in oil prices, screws us. So then, if that increase in oil prices are unwarranted, again, if it's unwarranted, it means that is legal theft. That's an economic system that allows it, but it's legal theft. And we have ways to mitigate that. And how do we mitigate that? We mitigate that by taxing the holy hell out of them and then giving back the money to those people, those parasites stole from. It's not difficult. I mean, if you want to keep the fraudulent economy, there are still ways that the political class can actually mitigate the fraud. And that is using taxation and other methodologies. So, when you see an article that comes out like this that says Congress urged to tax big oil for price fixing and issue every American a refund, that's true. Now, my solution is a bit denser, right? I would look at all the primary product sources. That would be oil. That would be electricity, utilities, meaning electricities and the internet. That would be banking. All these what I call basal services and basal products. They should either be nationalized or have regulation that gives the semblance of of some sort of a working order, because we have proven that where the private sector can screw you and me, that is exactly what they do. Remember, there's no heart in capitalism. Whenever we do something, whenever we want to do something positive for society, whether it be basic income for the needy, any one of these things that we ask to do, the first thing folks ask is the following: how does that affect business? How does it affect business? How comes the first thing that we ask isn't how does it make people's lives better? Why isn't that the first question? How does it make people's lives better? That should be the question. So we are having to going forward. We have to change the method. If you listen to my program this morning, what we spoke about is how do we actually get things done. When Melissa called about Molly Cook, the young progressive that got elected recently, what she was talking about is we have to take responsibility. They want you to believe that we, the people, something is wrong with we, the people, that something is wrong with our government. They want you to think about government as being separate from the people. And it's a perfect psychological game. It's a psychological game because if it is a self-hate game, because they make you forget that government is we the people. So repeat after me. Government is we the people. Let nobody change what that is. Okay, let me see if there's anything I need to read real quick. By the way, folks, go to the chat. The chat's great. We have a lot of good messages in the chat. Lee Grant says, if we nationalize to a great extent, we'll need a strong central government and a fewer to run it. Here, what what I said, Lee, was something very special, right? I said, look at our basal industries, meaning oil, meaning for energy, meaning utilities for internet and electricity and water, healthcare. Basal industries should be everybody should have a stake in that. Should not be a private sector making billions of dollars in profits for a few. And everything else, you want to have restaurants, you want to have playgrounds, you want to have hotels, all of that. Throw that into the private sector. Let them fight among each other as far as, let's see, have real competition. But you can't compete for gasoline. You know why? Because we all have to go to work. You can't compete for certain types of rents. You know why? I don't mind having a private sector in the rental market as well as a public sector. That way, we have a basal rate to start with where we start competition from. It is that simple. Let's not be fooled as we constantly are. But anyway, folks, we are, let's see, so fed up with Biden and that whole Obama retread crew. I mean, it's crazy. Biden, again, as we talk about Biden, let's remember to tell folks you have to vote your best choices, right? But at the same time, you can't give up the fight. All right, let's see if Egberto, you want to make oil more expensive and put tax on everything and everyday American. No, I want to make oil cheaper. I mean, I would want to make oil expensive to let people go to electric cars and other forms. But in the short term, no, I want the market to take over oil the way it should, which is we don't have a shortage and therefore the prices don't reflect the true what people would call market value of oil. All right, let's see what else we got here. Michael says gasoline is required because we all have to go to work, as if EVs don't exist. I keep talking infrastructure investment so that this paradigm shift can occur quicker. You're absolutely right. Ah, yes, Egberto, you got it. Of course, I got it. But electric cars are not the solution. Electric cars is definitely a solution. Maybe later on we'll have, I don't know, no, well, I can't use that one, but I mean, look, there are a lot of ways to solve the problem. Anyway, we're getting close to the end of the program, so I want to remind all our folks that are listening today, I need to ask you to support the program. This is a lot of work that we do to make sure that we can get the message out. That's what we do here. So help us do the work. You can support the program there's a link. politicsdoneright.com/support is the all-encompassing link that has all the different methods that you can use to support us. You can also support us by becoming a patron. Patron is politicsdoneright.com/patron. Patron is spelled Patreon. Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/patron. I just add that into the feed as well. You can also support us by getting our books. I have 5 books that I've written so far, and I'm going to put those on the screen right now. I'll tell you a little bit about my books. As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. How to Make America Utopia. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. Of course, it's worth it. How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. And this one is my kind of just a personal thing. Weight loss. How do we lose weight? You know, I've had to go through it. And Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. Racism didn't stop my smile at all. And look, as you can see, if you go to politicsdoneright.com/books, let me put that on the screen, politicsdoneright.com/books, you can go ahead and get any one of my books or all of my books. You know, it'll help us continue to do what we're doing right now. But here's another way that you can support us, which I wish. Every morning at 5 in the morning, I send out my newsletter with what I'm covering on the show, on my morning show, my 6 o'clock a.m. Central Time show, KPFT 90.1 FM on air. Here's the deal, folks. If you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's a coffee a month, man. A very, very small thing to keep us going. You get to read all of my books, both the 5 that's already written and all subsequent books that I read on my Substack platform. If you become a subscriber to my politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, you will have access to all of my books online. And again, the great thing about it is you're doing 2 good things. You're reading these books that I guarantee you're going to get good information on, but likewise, you're also making sure we can continue to get the progressive message out, the unity message out. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm going to put that in the feed one more time. Anyway, it is time for me to bode you farewell. Please remember, if you have anything you want to add to the show or you want to talk to me directly, drop me a line at info@politicsdoneright.com. Again, that is info@politicsdoneright.com. For our KPFT listeners, it's kpft@politicsdoneright.com. All right. Let's see what else I need to cover before I get out of here. Again, the best I can say is please support the show. We're way behind in the support. And you know, I'm heading off to I'm heading off to Baltimore for the Netroots Nation, where I'm going to interview probably 50, 60 people. I'm going to put out my ask for that sometime later, where you become anybody who support our trip to Baltimore will be, they will become producers of every video that I make, and your name would be on it, all that good stuff. I'll write that up sometime later. I think I'm going to be doing that by the end of this month. So please support the show, though. Please become a subscriber to our newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Anyway, got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.